In the year 1974, a man would frequent gay bars, sometimes draw sketches of the men he met there, then engage in sexual relations with them, and afterward kill them. These murders went on from 1974 to 1975 and remain a cold case today. But do the recent developments in this case tell us that the police are close to finding the Black Doodler? Hi, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to cover the story of a cold case that has been reopened nearly 50 years later. The case of the Black Doodler involves at least 6 to 16 murders of gay men by a black man who was 19 to 25 years old at the time. Together, let's discover, has he been found in San Francisco finally? Before we answer that question, we want to know your knowledge about the Black Doodler. Have you ever heard of him and his crimes before? Tell us in the comments below. California has had quite a few serial killers over the years, especially in the 1970s and 1980s. Some of the most famous serial killers ever, like the Hillside Stranglers, Night Stalker, and Golden State Killer, chose California as their hunting grounds. One of the most well-known unsolved cases is the Zodiac Killer. But there are other brutal unsolved murder cases in California's history too. During a period between January 1974 and September 1975, there was a killer known as the Doodler who targeted gay men in San Francisco. This killer would meet his victims in gay bars, restaurants, and nightclubs, and he was known for making sketches of his victims to build a connection and gain their trust. The Doodler, described as a young black man aged between 19 and 25 years, around 6 feet tall with a slim body, is known to have killed at least 6 to 16 men. The individuals he killed include Gerald Kavanaugh, aged 49, Joseph Stevens, who was just 27 at the time, Klaus Chrisman, 31 years old, Frederick Kappen, who was 32 years old, Harold Goldberg, who was notably older, aged 66, and Warren Andrews, aged 52. Warren Andrews' connection to the Doodler was only established earlier this year after his body was found at Land's End in 1975. Even though the Doodler's most recent victim was in 1975, the investigation is still ongoing today. For some context, during the 1970s, San Francisco was becoming a notable center for the gay rights movement. The LGBTQ+ community was growing and becoming more vocal. However, many within the community chose to keep their personal lives private, whether they were open about being gay or not. Harvey Milk, a city supervisor, was the first openly gay man in the U.S. to win a public office election. He believed that around 20 to 25% of the 85,000 gay men in San Francisco were keeping their sexual orientation a secret. When 3 potential victims of the Doodler declined to testify because they didn't want to reveal their identities, Harvey Milk understood their situation and respected the societal pressure they faced. The survivors didn't want to speak up because it would have revealed their sexuality at a time when being gay had serious consequences. This could mean losing their jobs or being rejected by their families. Additionally, during the time of the Doodler's attacks, it was illegal to have same-sex relationships in California. Even though the initial investigation into the Doodler case encountered difficulties in the 1970s, the case hasn't been forgotten. In 2021, Kevin Fagan, a reporter from the San Francisco Chronicle, conducted an in-depth investigation into the Doodler case through articles and a podcast series. Fagan believes that the Doodler might still be alive and could be brought to justice. Although the 3 survivors from the 1970s remain unwilling to publicly share their experiences, at least one of them is cooperating with the police to assist in the investigation. So, how exactly did the Doodler commit his crimes? He would choose and meet his victims at gay clubs, have intimate encounters with them, then kill them and leave their bodies outside on the west side of San Francisco, as explained by investigators. One of the people who were attacked but managed to get away informed the police that before the assault, the attacker was sketching on a napkin. The San Francisco Police Department wrote that the victim recalled that the suspect was making drawings of animals on a napkin. This person also told the victim that he was going to an art school and learning to be a cartoonist. The victim thought the person was good at drawing because they also had experience in art. What are your thoughts on the Black Doodler so far? Why do you think he was targeting gay men? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's continue to discuss the victims of the Black Doodler. At approximately 1:30 in the morning on January 27, 1974, a call was made to the San Francisco Police Department from a public phone close to Ocean Beach. The person on the line, who provided the tip, said they had found the body of a 50-year-old man. Later, the police confirmed that the man was Gerald Kavanaugh, a furniture finisher from Canada. Kavanaugh's body was discovered that same day. He had been fatally stabbed, and the investigators noticed wounds on his arms that suggested he had tried to defend himself against the person who attacked him. Stevens, described by the Chronicle as a female impersonator who worked in a North Beach nightclub, was found at Spreckles Lake 5 months later. He had been stabbed 5 times. A few weeks after that, Chrisman, a tourist from Germany, was found dead at Ocean Beach. He had a slash wound across his throat. Unlike Kavanaugh and Stevens, who were single, Chrisman was married and had children. Kappen, who was both a Vietnam War veteran and a nurse, was killed in May 1975. His body, which was in an advanced state of decomposition, was discovered in Lincoln Park in June 1975. The coroner informed the media that the body had been concealed in a hidden area covered by bush near the 16th hole of the golf course. The police believed he had been dead for at least 2 weeks. The victim who survived provided the police with a detailed physical description of the suspect, which was then used by a forensic sketch artist. Shortly after a drawing of a possible suspect was made public, the police received a tip that included the name of a person who seemed suspicious, as well as the license plate number of a vehicle connected to them. More calls came in, all pointing towards the same individual. The police considered this person a potential suspect in the case, but they couldn't make an arrest. Following the police's interview with this man, whose identity has not been made public, in January 1976, the murders suddenly stopped and the investigation lost momentum, leading to a standstill. Sadly, it was only in January 2022 that authorities unveiled the possibility that Warren Andrews might have been the 6th individual targeted by the notorious serial killer. On April 27, 1975, Andrews had been assaulted and found unconscious at Land's End, a park close to the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and succumbed to his injuries a few weeks after the incident. However, he is still not a confirmed victim of this case. Now you might be wondering, where are the police in their search for the Black Doodler? In January of this year, detectives in San Francisco revealed a new version of a suspect sketch for the unresolved Doodler serial killer case. They're doing this to try to reinvigorate their efforts in the investigation. Shortly after the initial composite sketch was made public, law enforcement received information from a woman who gave them the name and license plate number of the suspected person. She contacted them twice within 10 days. Now, the police are trying to locate this woman. Moreover, at least 2 other individuals reached out to the SFPD with the same name. The police are also eager for these individuals to step forward once more. According to the police, they talked to the man who was identified by these callers in January 1976. He was considered a strong suspect and is still the main focus of the investigation. The SFPD has raised the amount of money they're offering as a reward. This money is for anyone who can provide information that helps identify, catch, and convict the suspect. The reward was increased from $200,000 to $250,000. Investigators have informed reporter Fagan that they think they've identified who the Doodler is. They suspect he's now in his 70s and residing in the East Bay area. The person believed to be the Doodler had been questioned previously, but the authorities couldn't find enough evidence to link him to the crimes. During the 1970s, investigators gathered fingerprints and possibly saliva as evidence. However, DNA technology wasn't available at that time. 2 of his victims survived and are still alive today. This is how the police were able to create those sketches. One of the survivors was a diplomat, and the other was a well-known actor back then. The case is ongoing and actively being looked into, but there hasn't been much definite information shared about how close the authorities are to figuring out who the suspect is and pressing charges. They may be currently watching the Doodler, and it might just be a matter of time before they collect sufficient proof to build a case, apprehend him, and ensure justice for the victims. Do you think that the Black Doodler will soon be found? Tell us what you think in the comments below. And if you think that this video was helpful to you, please give it a like, click the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell. Thanks for watching.